Hello and welcome to the FEZ show. It is the 29th of May 2020. Today we are previewing the 6th round of the Race at Home Challenge, which will take place at New York. On the show though today is the one and only Jack Pickering. Another episode of Jack Attack, Jack.
I really am the one and only, the only one to be here.
Oh, the one and only. Do.
Nobody I'd rather be.
Right, obviously, we've got to talk about the Race at Home Challenge today, not our wonderful singing, but two big announcements. One, you may have noticed this red thing on my face, right? If you're a normal viewer, it's not there normally. So, funny story, you have to take the funny story first, right? So, Wednesday night, this actually happened Wednesday night. It was late night, I was a bit hungry. I decided to, put a bit of bread in the toaster, just toast it. And, I was watching The Last Dance on Netflix. I was like, you know what? A bit of bread goes well with this, I feel. I don't know. But anyway, so I took a bite of it. Nothing normal. It was okay. But there was like this pocket of like really hot air inside the pita bread. And as I sort of bit in and went out, this hot air just went whoosh. And boom. I was like, oh. Like, when you do that flick when you get that real hot thing. And it's burnt my face. Like, a pita bread has actually burnt my face. I think that is like the most dangerous food now. I think, don't give pita breads to kids. It can burn you. So that's what I've learned over the 2 days since we haven't done a show. And second, thank you. And second announcement, magazine. Our new magazine has come out today. So once you finish listening to this show, head over to Formula Zone, hit the magazine button. Great edition. We talked to Gianfranco Pizzuto about Scuderia E. We talked to Jamie Chadwick about her ambitions for the future in terms of Formula E and what she's learned so far at Jaguar and Neo. And we also speak to Trevor Carlin. Why that's important is because he was part of the Mahindra team in season 1, so he sort of elaborates about how that relationship was with Mahindra. So it's a great addition. Head over to the Formula Zone website for the magazine tab, and you can have a look at our magazine. So let's get on with the show then, Jack, because we have a new track. That rhymes. I'm pretty sure that rhymes. But New York. So obviously we had Berlin last week. Studio 397 yesterday announced that New York would be on the is a new track for Formula E, and Formula E then today announced that we're racing in at New York. So I think it's really good. It's good that we're finally seeing these new tracks sort of emerge.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like a long time ago now when we were repeating the likes of Monaco and Hong Kong, and no, I'm very happy that we're going to new tracks. Obviously Berlin last week was really good, although everything overshadowed it. But New York, we've just had a look at the track just off camera. I know that you've done some laps as well, Jack. But yeah, no, it looks pretty good. It looks really realistic, and yeah, hopefully there's less complaints about it than there was last week. So I remember Jev at the end of last week's show was very vocal about how the track wasn't like it was in real life.
Yeah, because I think, you have to give Studio 397 credit, right? They've probably been given a very short deadline in terms of turning these around. Because let's face it, right? Formula E if it wasn't for COVID-19, Formula E were not doing any, sim racing. Berlin wouldn't be on RFactor 2 nor New York, right? So give them credit that they've turned it around in such a short time. I think what they were saying was, it was too smooth. And because I don't think these tracks have been laser scanned at all, that would mean that there would be the bumps don't actually come across into the game. So they said it was too smooth, and probably be the same for New York. They'll go round, there'll be bumps in New York, and they'll be like, there should be a bump here, or you wouldn't do that. But to be fair, they don't drive the Formula E car round the tracks. It's like a Tokyo drift, really, to get it quick out some of the corners. They're actually drifting it, and I suppose that's why some of the drivers, to reference Daniel Lapp, but he's not the only one that says, and John-Eric Verne said it as well, that there's no point me spending hours and hours in this sim because I don't drive this car like a Formula E car.
Yeah, also there's no real repercussions of this championship. I mean, yes, there is this whole thing currently surrounding the Race at Home Challenge. But the thing is, at the end of the day, all it is they're putting on a show for charity. And so yeah, there's no real repercussions of it, and so there's no real reason for them to spend about 8 to 16 hours a week in well, I don't know how long sim races are. That I just drummed two numbers out of thin air. Those are the ones I came up with. So yeah, no, it's not worth some of these drivers putting in the effort that these sim races do, because at the end of the sim races challenge, there is a prize for yeah, and a rather big prize. They get to drive a Formula E car, whereas Formula E drivers just do that week in, week out anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So for the sim racers, there's a lot at stake. Whereas obviously, I think that's why some of these Formula E drivers were technically like apt. I would say were getting bored of the championship, and you can even probably see it in Vern's eyes when he was talking that I'm just turning up on a Saturday now. It's like it is what it is in that sense. We're just here. So, but the way that we're going at the moment, in terms of these DLCs, like obviously we said ages ago that we want these DLCs, then there has to be something in order to progress this championship on. You're doing 8 rounds, there must be a reason why you're doing 8 rounds. And repeating tracks isn't a reason why you're doing 8 rounds. So I know that we've done New York, and we could easily go back to a Berlin or an Electric Docks, for example, for the finale. But what I find interesting, Jack, is that they've mimicked the end of the season. So we've gone to Berlin as a DLC, we've gone to New York as a DLC. Could London be next?
Your logic is correct. That is how the season ends. Yes, that would be quite exciting. Obviously, I mean, I know quite a lot of people who are supposed to be there in London, including myself. And so yeah. I mean, it's disappointing that we can't go because of this pandemic, but I'm sure the London E-Prix will be back next year, and it will be better than and it will be better than ever. But to see that track for the very first time, because obviously we've never been to the XL before, so going to going to a new track, we have no idea what it looks like. So Studio 397, I mean, they may have to do a lot of guesswork. But the thing is, that does also mean that there can't be any complaints from the drivers about how smooth it is, because they just don't know the comparison yet. So that's a plus.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. Like, if they do London, amazing, because one, Studio 397 will have had like blueprints probably from Formula E saying this is where a grandstand would be, this is where we were going to put this is where that would be, this is what it would look like, this is the dimensions of how steep. They probably need to, for London to happen, again, the best thing about the FEZ show, I can't even say our show name, but who cares? The FEZ show, the best thing about it is that we are very skeptical, and we sort of make up things very well in terms of like hypothesizing things, and this is definitely one of them, because if they were to do London, they'd need all the dimensions of the ramp going in, what it would look like inside the XL. There's so many things that would have to go into actually making London, so we might not be London, but I'm just thinking, the way that it's going with Berlin, New York, London, it's mimicking the end of the season. I don't know if that's by design or it's just a happy coincidence, but I have a feeling that, it would be great to see London, and it'd be great to have a track that no one's actually seen before, and you're getting it in a game first. It's kind of like the Hanoi track in the F1 game, where no one's actually been to Vietnam, but we have that track in that game.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, it will be exciting to see if it is that, but yeah, no, if they, I would have assumed that Formula E would have done some like research into like how everything's going to work out. Obviously, when we bought I mean, like, you didn't have to, because like you were always going to be there as media. I wasn't on that race. That went to someone else on our crew. So yeah. No, I was supposed to head to Paris, so that went well.
That went well.
But but no. Yeah, no. The thing is, I'm sure Formula E would have done some recon for London. So fingers crossed, all would have gone well then. Because the thing is, I can't imagine them trying to trying to do it about a month ago, because they would have. If they tried to look at the track a month ago, there probably would have been a few hospital beds in the way, and
Yeah.
it'll make a bit like Mario Kart. So I mean, that's not too different from the Race at Home challenge, if I'm completely honest.
But in terms of, thinking about this now more from a video game style, just before we go and do our like predictions for the Race at Home challenge for this weekend, is this, if you look at the pricing of the thing, so the tracks are £7.17. I think actually I was trying to buy it yesterday and it was £7.17, but they changed the price to £7.18. So I had to wait till that price because it wasn't letting me buying it. But for that extra penny, I know.
Yeah.
But you're thinking now we've got New York, Berlin, Hong Kong, Monaco, 4 official tracks in the game now. You've got all the official cars in there, so we're getting very much closer to an official game, but it's going to be in a very expensive game, because obviously to buy RFactor 2 it's £25, £26, however much it is on Steam now. You've got the track packs, which I think is Hong Kong in the cars, that's like £10. So boom, that's £35. Then you've got Monaco, Berlin, so it's about 50 quid, over 50 quid, and you don't have all the tracks. So do you think now, if for Formula E, maybe if they wanted to push out their own game, that they probably need to do something along those lines and keep it at that more £50 price bracket, which is like a normal game at this precise moment, which includes all the tracks, rather than potentially spending upwards of £70-80 on RFactor 2 to get a Formula E full championship full game.
No, yeah, no. I think it would be ideal if they did the Gen 2 cars, the 5 tracks, stick it up for what, 50 quid. I think that's fair. Yeah, for 40, 50 quid, something like that. Maybe create a couple more tracks just to keep us interested more. So things like Mexico City, or trying to think of another track on the calendar.
Rome would
there
be
we
a good
go.
one, yeah.
Yes, Rome. Rome would be really cool. I might actually buy RFactor then. But the thing is, because it's, you have to buy a game and then you have to buy a DLC on top of that. It's just, I'm a student. Admittedly, I've been put on furlough by the government, so thanks again. but no, even then, I still don't want to be spending up to something like 70 quid on a game. So if I bought RFactor 2 for whatever it is, like 25 quid, something like that,
Yeah.
and then have a 30-40 quid DLC. I mean, I'm bringing the price down each time I say it, but yeah, no, I think I think something like that.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, do Formula E need to go and create their own game, or get a company like Codemasters or whoever to create a Formula E game that includes all the track, that is at a more friendly price?
Because otherwise they won't make that much revenue. I mean, like, some people may want to buy some tracks, but the thing is, buying a track for 7 quid, especially if it's like a not great one. I mean, I don't think much of Monaco and Hong Kong, so I wouldn't want to buy that for that. So, I mean, like Berlin, sure, maybe a little bit more. Same with New York, same with London, because they look like much better tracks. But if it's enough track, I don't want to spend that much on it. I mean, it's just not. It just wouldn't be that great.
Yeah, whereas if you had a full game where instead of spending upwards of £80 on a Formula E game with all the tracks, let's say RFactor 2 eventually release all of this season's Formula E tracks, for example, then, if you had a Formula E game that maybe got updated, I don't know, or if they wanted to do a season by season game, which I don't know if Formula E are ready for, then you could, you could put that out for 50 quid and you'd have all the tracks. So therefore, because you're a huge Formula E fan, like just like me, like we love Formula E, but simply because of the price bracket that it is now, that's turning people who aren't fans who would buy a Formula E game that aren't buying it. So therefore, when they think about themselves and thinking about moving on to the next step, about having an official Formula E game, which probably is released every year like Formula 1, then they need something to be, about £45-50, which is the current game price.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, they try and aim at the younger generation. So like our age. I mean, like we've both been Formula E fans since day dot. So yeah. And the thing is that I don't, and I think I speak for quite a lot of people, and I don't, when I say I don't want to put 60 quid, 70 quid just into a Formula E game. I mean, yeah, sure, release like updates and stuff. Release updates in like in like bundles. So maybe release the Formula E Season 6 bundle, and then release a Season 7 bundle, Season 8 bundle, or something like that, and just have it marketed at an appropriate price for on RFactor 2. That would work, because honestly, I think Formula E is too niche to have like a proper game like Formula 1 does. So yeah, having RFactor works, but the price is to just have the DLCs. It is just too much, because I don't want to be spending. I think this has just turned into me, my financial troubles, and me moaning for 3 minutes. But yeah, no, But yeah, no, I don't think I don't want to buy a track for 8.
Nah, look, that's understandable. That is understandable in terms of, some people won't. Because some people think, whoa, there's people in our Discord channel, again, shout out to the Discord channel, link below in the description, that said like, oh, I'd love to, but I don't want to spend £7 on a track. Like, it's just too much money, and I don't have the money to afford it right now. And you have to understand that. That's just a fact of life. So it's just about what Formula E could potentially do in the future to maybe make it more accessible as on a gaming platform somewhere. But who knows when that will happen. But what I want to move on to now, Jack, is a slight Daniel App thing. I only want to talk about this for a few seconds, because obviously we had 24 drivers in the Race at Home Challenge, and now we have 23. So do we expect, what would be your opinion? Because my opinion on this is that I wouldn't expect Daniel App's spot to be replaced now for the remaining 2 weeks. I don't expect, to see someone in the App spot this weekend. I don't expect him in next weekend. I think we could get away with 23, but what do you think? Do you think we should get another racing driver to potentially just jump in that spot?
It would make sense. It would make sense for someone to fill that spot. I mean, honestly, I see why they wouldn't. Mainly because of like time constraints and getting someone in. I mean, like they could do what we've been touting all week and promote Robin Fries and then stick Nick Cassidy in that Envision Virgin seat, but don't see it happening.
But that would require an actual season move, though, wouldn't it? That Robin Fries would be signed by Audi for that to happen.
Yes, which is very, very unlikely. But yeah, no, I wouldn't want to see another racing driver in that seat. I'd want to see a guest star like we see in the F1 virtual races. But yeah, no, someone will take that seat and then be gone in about 1 minute 40. So I mean, what's the point?
Even if it's a guest star of a racing series, so you get someone else from, if they wanted to go and pick someone from WEC who was interested to race in it, you could try and do that. So then you've got a full 24 car grid. But honestly, I think that it will stay at 23 cars. I can't see, unless, I think it's too late. I think the ship has sailed on influencers or other people coming in to actually race in the Race at Home Challenge, in the driver's race. I think the ship sailed, so which is a bit unfortunate. So I am expecting that it would just stay at 23 cars and we won't get 24th. If we do get 24th, great. Who it'll be, I have no idea. But I'm hoping if they do use that 24th car and use Audi App C, then they use it properly. They don't just get some random person in that no one knows. Like, get someone in that could actually drum some interest, especially going into the final weekend of this next week. You know, if we have 23 tomorrow, which is probably likely, but if they wanted to use it for the final race weekend to have someone to come in, you know, get someone popular, get someone who's people know, who is an advocate of electric vehicles, so they can help promote the final race weekend of the championship. I think that would be really cool. Whether Formula E decide to do that or not, I don't know. So
Give it Dario till end of the season.
Yeah, or even Dario. Put Dario, you know, get Jack and the sim racer guy to commentate on the race and put Dario Franchitti in. I don't think that's a bad shout. I really don't.
Actually, just get Nichols to multitask. Get Nichols to multitask. I think that would be hilarious to watch.
So, but anyway, predictions then, because obviously we're not having that much practice time. Obviously, New York drivers probably are practicing as we speak right now, probably on the track. I'll probably do some practicing later, see if I can beat my 1:15 time as well. They're probably practicing right now. Maybe not all of them, but most of them I would expect are. So, given that, we saw Oliver Rowland last week, who has been very good at sim racing, has been pretty quick throughout the weeks. Obviously, Berlin, we're in the same situation as we are this week with New York, came out on top and won the race. So, I think predicting is going to be quite hard now about who's going to come out on top this weekend.
I think after my prediction last week of Daniel Abt, that went well, and that
maybe you should be banned from making predictions.
Yes, no, I should lose my seat on the FEZ show.
Not that seat. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't fire you on for that. But in terms of making predictions, maybe your predictions are just too much for people to handle.
Yeah, no, because I got it right the first 2 weeks, and then got it wrong with Stoff, and then said, then went on a punt with Daniel Abt, and then this happened. So, my predictions have been either really good or
very
catastrophically bad that they lose their seat 5 days after. But 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So,
so who's your money on, Jack? Who's your money on?
Oh, okay. No, I haven't really thought about this. I do want to see Stoff win a race. Edo Mortara's been doing okay last couple races. I mean, Ollie Rowland again. I'm trying to think of someone who was just like there or thereabout in the races. I am going to say Stoff Van Dorn, but I'm going to say top 5 for Oliver Turvey.
So you're going to say Oliver Turvey. So that's your outside bet. Okay, no pressure, Oliver. No pressure. For me, I'm going to go for Maximilian Gunther because he's had 2 poor races, and I think it will spice up the championship going into the final weekend that he comes out on top. So, you know, obviously Verline's sort of walking away with it now. Hopefully Verline still has a good race. I don't want him to have a bad race. You know, I still want him maybe finish like a P4, P3. So at least Gunther takes some points, a decent chunk of points out of him. So we go into that final weekend and it's still pretty much all to play for. It's not just, well, Verline only needs to finish 8th in the first race and he's done it. As it's looking like at this precise moment. So hopefully Maximilian Gunther can get in. But before we end, Jack, because we are running out of time, I want to speak about Extreme E. Because they have released a sort of their format. So I remember once upon a time, we did talk about Extreme E, we sort of explained their race format, but they've made some tweaks and they've added some sort of more information to that and maybe answer some of our questions that we had from the first time that we went through it. So I'm going to go through it very quickly. So there's going to be 5 events in one season. So 5 events, so across all the continents effectively. 2 drivers, 1 male, 1 female. So that was the big thing that came out quite recently, that both, you know, it's going to be a gender, I don't know if that's a gender neutral is the right term for that, but both genders will be in the car. So each team, so as we were saying, you know, Jamie Chadwick, who's in our magazine, that's probably a really good chance for her to show off her skills in that series. I'm pretty sure she'll be picked up by one of the teams. There's going to be 2 days of racing. So there's going to be a qualifying races probably like on a Saturday and then the finals on the Sunday. 2-lap races. We're expecting them to be about 5-6 miles a lap. So fairly long, but obviously we're not racing on a racetrack here. So 5-6 miles through a rainforest, 5-6 miles through an ocean or a desert. might take considerably longer than a track. So it sounds short, but I don't think it's actually short, if that makes sense, because obviously it's completely different conditions, so it might be quite slow. And they have a hyperdrive system, which I don't know if they're going to give like a biggest point or something like that, but whoever gets the longest jump in the first lap, not the second lap, the first lap, and the drivers alternate. I forgot to mention that. So after lap one's finished, they're driving somewhere to the pits, I assume, or wherever, and then they switch drivers and the other driver gets in. So there's one car per two drivers. So before we go on to the actual format, what do you make of that? Like the 2-lap system, 2 races, 5 events, hyperdrives, 16-kilometer races. What do you make of that?
I'm very confused already. but no, I think it sounds like a good idea. I'm not sure how they're gonna. I'm assuming it's going to be a bit like a rally, so they'll go one after another. So otherwise, it will just be a 15-minute show. Yeah, I mean, you might as well be on for about half hour. But in terms of broadcasting, but no, if they're doing it like a rally, then yeah, do it one after another. Then yeah, it's going to be a little bit more of a spectacle, and it's going to be like an extreme Super Bowl kind of thing, which is going to be quite exciting. But yeah, I mean, I will probably just watch it and just look very confused for like the first 10 minutes or so, and then I might actually understand when it is. Whenever it's coming to, I assume it's coming some point next year.
Yeah, January. January should be the first race. So we talked about it actually being a rally, because that's what we wanted to sort of. That's what we thought it was when we first talked about this. But the interesting thing is 2-lap races. So I'm like, well, it's probably going to be like a rallycross thing then. And obviously, as I said, we don't know how long these races are going to be. And there's multiple races during this. It's not just one race, which are going to. Because you were confused there, right? Get ready to get even more confused, and I'm going to try my best to sort of explain the system, but we thought it was complicated with the crazy race and people jumping from different semi-finals to get into a final, and it seemed more complicated now than it was previously. So basically there are going to be 2 qualifying races, okay, and basically the best people who at this, I don't know, there's many questions surrounding these qualifying races and how it will actually work, but from what we've gathered so far is that obviously the quickest ones will go into the quicker semi-final and the slower ones go into the slower semi-final. But of the quicker semi-final, there will be 3 out of those 4 teams, so there's 8 teams, 4 will go into the first semi-final, so the quickest 4 out of those 2 qualifying races go into the top semi-final, and 3 go through into the final. So 3 will progress, 1 gets knocked out. Whereas the slower semi-final, there is like the semi-final and the winner of that, which is the crazy race. So remember, if you've been watching the show, if you remember previously, there was this crazy race which contained 6 drivers, and the winner of that went into the final. And the semi-finals were from the quicker drivers, so they've changed it slightly. So therefore,
if you've been affected by anything that Jack's just said in the last 3 minutes, there's going to be a helpline in the description.
Yeah. As I said, it's quite confusing, but I'm, as I said, doing my best to sort of explain it. So then the slower semi-final, the winner of that, which is now the crazy race, is that slower semi-final, I believe. Then progresses to the final, and then you've got the final with the top 3 from the semi-final 1 and the winner of the crazy race from semi-final 2 that goes into the final, and there we go, someone wins, and the winner is the winner. So complicated, like I literally had to read it 4 times to try and make sense of it myself. I still don't fully understand it. As I said, there's still many questions, like, how is this, is it? It looks like rallycross. It looks like they're taking a sort of a rallycross style heats, basically. Lots and lots of mini heats to get to a final heat, effectively. And many qualification ramifications and many big words to sort of like get to the final. But what do you make of that? I know I hope you listened. I hope you, I banged the microphone there, sorry. But I hope you sort of absorbed that in all my teaching capacity and is able to tell me what you've just understood.
No, I'm very confused by this. I'm gonna have to look it up after the. I'm gonna have to look it up after the show as well. No, so there's 2 semi-finals,
Yep.
and then the top 3 from
So
those semi-finals they go into
So the top
the
those 2
final, and then there's
semi-finals.
the crazy race, and then the crazy race. The top 3 go into the final as well.
No. Confusing. So the top 3 from the first semi-final qualify. But in the second semi-final from the slowest lot, the winner. So only one person goes into final. So there's 4 cars in the final. 3 from the first semi-final and 1 from the second semi-final.
Okay. So the second semi-final is the slowest semi-final, and then that's the crazy.
And that's the crazy race.
The second semi is the crazy one.
Yes, that's the crazy one because all hell to get first place to get into the final. So it's your last. It's basically last chance saloon. That one. But yeah, that's extremely. So that literally came out 20 minutes before we were about to record, and we thought, well, we talked about it, so we've decided it would make sense for us to then mention it. But it is confusing. There's still so many questions. So they've, it's going to be like one of those. I think it's been pushed back. I think 22nd of January at Dakar was supposed to be their first round. I think that's going to be pushed back into February, March of 2021. Obviously because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and they just being extra careful, I assume, and making sure they're definitely safe to get their championship up and running. So I feel like to understand it, we're going to need to see it, because saying it doesn't really make sense. Like, obviously, with some championships, you're shaking your head there hilariously. But some championships, it's easy. Like, Formula E is pretty easy to explain. Like, qualifying, it's a group qualifying system from championship order. So championship goes first, to the last goes out last. And then the top 6 qualify for Super Pole. And then you've got Super Pole, and then the fastest person is on pole. And then you have a race for 45 minutes plus 1 lap. Pretty easy to explain. Whereas, Extreme E, oh my god, it's unbelievably hard to explain. But fingers crossed, I hope you understood some of that.
Yeah,
there will be a test next week. So do your revision. And we'll come back to that. But Jack, another episode in the books. Thank you so much for being on.
Yep, thank you, mate.
No worries. Remember, if you are enjoying the content, please hit that like button and that subscribe button. Obviously, it's been a great week. Obviously, with Daniel App, we got gained some subscribers, had some great views. If you really are enjoying that content and you've come back because you've seen the channel from those videos, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It means the world to us. Also, come and join the conversation on Discord with us. Lots of people joining that now. We're so grateful, and it's really great to get to know you one by one and actually get to speak to you. So that's great as well. Thank you so much for watching the FEZ show. We will be back to review the madness that will probably happen from New York on Monday. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.